The war between the land and the sea honestly feels like a well-curated fever dream. And I mean that in both a good and bad way. Warning, spoilers alert. The show actually starts off strong. It hooks you early with a genuinely interesting concept, well-designed fish people, and that very familiar Doctor Who energy. Strange, imaginative, and full of potential. For a while, it feels like we're watching something bold and exciting. But by the time we reach the ending, that promise completely unravels. And no, when I say we lose Barkley, I don't mean in the way you might expect. I'll get to that. What's strange about the finale is that, despite a title like The War Between the Land and the Sea, there's no massive final battle, no epic showdown. Instead, we get a rushed montage of events that look important but aren't really explained. Sure, we're told who won and who lost, but so many key questions are left hanging. What exactly is Accord? Why does the ending feel so abrupt? And what on earth is going on with Kate after all of this? So yeah, spoiler alert, let's break this down. What is Severance? One of the biggest issues with this show is that there isn't a single, clearly defined villain. And sometimes that works. But here it really doesn't. Instead of giving us one or two strong antagonists with clear motivations, the show spreads its conflict across a handful of barely developed characters. Some of them barely speak, especially in the final episode. Others pop in and out so quickly that they never leave much of an impression. And because so much screen time is devoted to the emotional drama between Barkley and Salt, the larger threat almost fades into the background. That's why something as important as Severance almost slips past us, even though it's mentioned multiple times in UNIT's database. Even Kate doesn't seem to fully grasp the danger until it's far too late. And when we finally learn what Severance actually is, it's horrifying. Severance is a virus, designed by humans, of course, that attacks homoaquatic creatures by preventing them from shedding their scales. The scales continue to grow until they block the creature's gills, slowly drowning them in their own environment. Let that sink in. Overnight, the oceans are filled with the floating bodies of sea devils, lifeless, motionless, erased. It's shocking, it's tragic, and the most unsettling part is how casually it's handled. All Kate can manage to say is, "Oh, Severance. Honestly, Unit, we have to do better." Near the end, Kate references something the Doctor once told her, that he saves humanity, but he doesn't shape it. And weirdly enough, this ends up being one of the most meaningful lines in the entire show, because after everything we've seen, it rings painfully true. Humanity once again behaves like a conqueror, whether it's toward other species or even its own people. And despite Kate's determination and moral backbone, she's left completely defeated. She never believed humans would go this far to wipe out a species that existed on Earth long before we did. And that realization breaks her. What is Accord? Now let's talk about the most confusing part of Episode 5. Salt tells Barkley that the signal he needs to send into the ocean is a single word. Accord. No explanation, no context, nothing. And yet, Unit just goes along with it. Barkley, blinded by love, I can understand. But the fact that everyone else is willing to risk their careers and their lives because one woman said so, that's a choice. Even after the virus is unleashed and Barkley resumes his role as ambassador, we still don't get a clear explanation. And yes, Salt is alive. But now what? What does Accord actually mean? Salt explains that humanity's attempt to reach the deepest parts of the ocean, mainly to steal aqua technology, has failed. That technology is now lost, buried far beyond human reach. She says humanity has technically won the war, but the victory feels hollow. Only a handful of people truly benefit, and you could probably count them on one hand. Barkley then reads a statement declaring that humanity will allow the Sea Devils to live in a small, heavily restricted area of the Pacific Ocean, protected, guarded, bordered. Because that's what humans do. We draw lines. Salt makes it painfully clear that the Sea Devils will comply, not because they agree, but because they've been defeated. And she warns that the ocean remembers. Water will find those who ruined it. Then she leaves Barkley with nothing but a look. No words, no comfort. The twist. What Accord really means. Near the very end, Kate receives a disturbing call from Barkley's doctor. We see Accord flash across the screen alongside x-rays of Barkley's brain, but we're still left guessing. Barkley is nearly mobbed by the public until Kate rescues him and drives him away. She takes him to the ocean, and for the second time, Barkley calls out to Salt. This time, she answers. And here's the twist. Barklay has become a homoamphibian himself. As he kisses Salt, gills emerge from his neck. That's why the ocean was calling to him all along. That is what accord means. A transformation, a joining, a biological crossing between land and sea. And no, I won't make the accordion joke again. What's happened to Kate? While Barklay and Salt disappear into the ocean, Kate is left standing alone. She can't see them anymore, just endless water. As she leaves, she sees a man casually throw a bottle onto the sand. After everything that's happened, after an entire war with the ocean, he still doesn't care. She tells him to pick it up. He refuses. And instead of backing down, Kate snaps. She pulls her gun and screams at him as the credits roll. It's unsettling and intentional. Kate has been unraveling for a while now. After losing her partner, she's struggled with grief, increased her medication, and even blackmailed her psychiatrist earlier in the episode. This moment feels like the breaking point. She believes UNIT will always be there. Governments may change, leaders may fall, but she'll remain. The question is, should she? Is this the beginning of a darker arc for Kate Stewart? Could she be heading toward an anti-hero role in the Whoniverse? We won't know until Doctor Who returns. But one thing's clear, this war didn't really end. It just changed shape. Thank you for watching.